Good evening. Think about it using common sense. This is let's call it a special edition today. Um, Reason being, it's election time, and the mud is slinging stronger and stronger each day by the different candidates. I I went out on the street yesterday with a bullhorn. Excuse me, because this, to me, is one of the most uh, dire elections that I believe I've ever voted in, and I voted in just about every one ever since I was old enough to vote. And we asked ourselves, because the mud is being slung back and forth. One candidate said this person's worse, the other candidate said this and this. So, what do we really have to go on? Because the reality of it, we don't really know anything about any one of them except what they have told us, or what's been put out there in the news. So, what I'm saying uh, is it's time now for a common sense election. And a common sense election, and I say, when I use a lot of times, I say, you know, to me, or as I see it, because we all have so many different opinions. And some of the opinions are based on something. Some of the opinions are baseless, and some is just way out there in like left field where people really don't even think about it. They just spurt stuff out of their mouth, whatever makes sense to them, or whatever been told to them, or how they've lived life before. But and they come up with their uh, opinion. So I call this a common sense election, or should be a common sense election, because we really don't know the candidates. So you have to break them down, and you have to look. Not only that, you have to judge your candidate by association. They all talk about, to me, they all say, well, I can fix this. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix this. I can do that. And the country and the people, the low income, the middle class one and two, we're in the worst situation that we've ever been. We've ever been in. The rich has continued to get richer, but yet all the rich politicians that's running, the majority of them, 99% of them, is telling us how they can fix our problem. Now, if you can fix our problem, why haven't you fixed it before now? If you're rich, you're a millionaire, you're coming out, you know nothing. You don't live in the ghetto. You don't live amongst us. So how can you say you know how to fix us? And when you really think about it and use common sense, the money that you have gotten, not all, but some, has gotten from the low income, the middle class one and two, because we are uneducated as to how things work. You just throw things out there and say this work, believe it, we support it, you make money on it. So it's to me, it's a win-win situation, because you win, number one, when you become elected and you get in that powerful seat, And then number one, if you can give something to see to it that the low income, middle class get support from the government, then the money goes back to you. I heard something the other day that welfare money that's supposedly being allocated to help the poor has been going into the pockets of the rich. Because for real, the poor, middle class, one and two, we have no idea of the amount of money that's allocated to help the poor to better themselves. So, and the people that the money is going to see to it that the poor, the middle class get the money, well, they direct their money, as I've been told, for their own personal use or the personal use of their friends. And that's why the poor can never rise. And you're not being educated properly so you can actually really do something for yourself because it's beneficial to the rich if you are uneducated and spend money foolishly, consume things foolishly, go out here and commit crimes. All these things are money. All these things put money in the pockets of those above you, if you want to say it that way. But election time, this election on November 8th, as I see it, if the Democrats, and I'm not sitting up here, I can say I'm not, I'm for justice. I'm for right. I'm for wrong. I'm for the American people. I can say it this way. And as I see what has been happening and what has happened, and what the Republican Party has not been doing and have been doing. We had an insurrection on January 6th in our capital, an attempted coup. As I see it, the Republicans, they ran for their safety when the coup was going on, excuse me, but yet when it was over, they came back out and continued not to support the democracy. The Democrats had a committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. The Republicans, with the exception of one or two, refused and tried to stop it. Now, why would you try and stop getting at the truth? Common sense now. Unless you had something to hide. I don't understand this. These same Republicans that voted was elected by the same process that every other Republican president was elected by, took an oath to uphold the Constitution and support the American people, refused to accept Joe Biden as president of the United States. Now, this went to judges, different judges or different committees to investigate the election. No fraud, nothing was found. But yet, These Republicans refused to acknowledge Joe Biden as president. Now, but it was okay when the Republican president a couple of years ago was elected, but under the same process, everything was fine. But this whole thing, based on what I'm saying, this whole thing was what the seeds were sown prior to the election. So to me, you're guilty by association, or you got something you got some mud on you by association, you know. And when you stand up and talk about uh, what you believe is one thing, nobody's not telling you not to believe what you believe in. But when you're talking about taking away women's rights, when you're talking about uh, taking away human rights, the right to vote, when you're talking about not supporting the people of this country, the veterans who have paid the ultimate price and made the ultimate sacrifice to this country. And when you look at it, and they talk about one thing, what have they done? I have not seen one thing that the Republican Party have did to help Joe Biden as president. Nothing to make this country better or solve the problems of some of the problems that we're having here. I rode down I-95 the other day, and I see the bridges being built, infrastructure. Joe Biden. The streets in the city being repaid. You talk about we're seeing the coronavirus under control. You can talk about all the stuff you want to talk about, but the masks go off. You talk about the children in schools, they're back in schools. You talk about the stimulus money. You talk about money for seniors. You talk about money for to help these kids out of college with these outrageous student loans. Joe Biden. You talk about senior citizens relief. It's Joe Biden. And I mean so many other things that I can't even remember. But I couldn't. If I'm lying, tell me these things that Joe Biden's done that the Republicans have not had a hand and refused to even do anything about, except uh, put more money into the hands of special interest groups. Those are the only ones that's making money right now. Do you know that? I heard in October of 2022, the only people that are making record breaking profits. Record breaking means they're making more money now than they have ever made. It's the rich, gas companies, oil companies, Wall Street, pharmaceuticals. These people are making all the money. And then they talk about inflation. Inflation is because you're getting charged. You can't afford the prices. But yet, if you're making a record profit, then you're getting charged. But for me, I don't know where people's brains are. They got to have their head buried in the sand. And then I hear people say, "Oh well, Joe Biden can't do this." Well, if Joe Biden's not going to solve the world. These problems didn't come overnight. You're just not going to, somebody that's going to be in the presidency for 4 years and all of a sudden you're going to come in and you're going to change everything and everything going to be changed. Then, no, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. We still, to this very day, could be dealing with things that Republicans or Democrats passed 10, 15, 20 years ago. We're suffering for to this very day. You know, people are never satisfied. They want everything laid out for them. And when you sit back and want everything to be laid out for you, there's a price for that. There's a price that you pay for that. Excuse me. I can't believe it's just mind-boggling to me how people are never satisfied. And they can't think beyond today. If they can think about today. Because these Republicans have never I'm not saying they have never, but I'm saying from what I'm seeing in the last few years, these Republicans are a bunch of hypocrites. They cannot be trusted. I don't see how any Republican even expect to go in and win anything, yet they talk about how close the race is going to be. Boggles my mind. Where have these people been? Where have these people been that's voting for the Republicans? If the Republicans win, based on how they are thinking and the things that they say, if they win come November 8th, America and democracy in this country is going to lose. And once we lose our democracy and our freedom in this country, it's never going to come back. And as much as the people out there think about, oh, well, you know, this is about racism, it's about people of color. No, it's not about people of color. That's what you have been told. That's what has been drilled in your mind. It's not about that. It's about the haves and the have-nots. No matter what color you are. Because the rich and the people with the money do not care. If they cared, common sense tell you they would have fixed it. Because they have the money to fix it. I go into the supermarkets, the shelves in the supermarkets are half empty. Now, if you walk into the supermarket and the store is half empty, so what are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? Nothing. You know why? Because you don't grow anything. You don't control anything. So you take what they give you or what has been given or what's left. You out here arguing and fighting about color. The people of color going to take this and going to take that. It's going to be nothing to take. And the only thing you're going to be out there in the street fighting over crumbs instead of doing something about it, getting involved in it. And getting involved is not by the barrels of a gun, it's by the dollars. It's by the dollars and having people knowledgeable about what's taking place. And that's where misdirection is coming in at. It's not about that. How are you going to survive in the future with electric cars and all this technology and robotics that's filling all these jobs? Where are you going to work? Energy prices is going off the roof. How are you going to fuel a car? How are you going to warm your home? And how are you going to eat? Where your money coming from? People, this is real. But you don't act like it. You really don't act like it. But you're going to feel it. And when you feel it, That's when it's too late. That's why they tell you to get a checkup. They say get a checkup, so if you catch something in time, you have a chance to survive, a chance to deal with it. But people, when you wake up and this so-called inflation and the reality of it, that you don't have no money, you have no job, there's nothing for you. These supermarkets, it's empty. Now you're gonna talk. Now you're gonna see some violence. Because everybody it's gonna be like a purge. These things are real. And guess what? The rich gonna be off in their off in their world, with their peace, relaxation, having the finer things in life. Why? If you gave it to them. They don't come back. If they wanted to fix something, it would be fixed. I'm not talking about that. Anybody gonna give up their guns. Give up their guns now? Are you kidding me? Knowing what could be coming down the pipe? And here we are here killing ourselves? Because this is something that it's not just happening now. This is something coming from seeds that was sown years ago. Drugs in the neighborhood, lack of education. You can't buy guns, and guess what? They make them online and send them to you. Call them ghost guns or something. Jails are full. Privately owned as a business. And this election, people, these people, and that's another thing. That's another thing that boggles my mind, because something must be down the pike, or something's getting ready to burst. Because these Republicans is coming right out with it. I mean, they come out talking stuff like they know something. You don't do something like this. You don't come out and go against your own democracy. You don't come out and go against your own president. You don't go against things and come out and say you just gonna take control of things, to say what's being said, unless you know something. You see, and they're acting like they're bringing you along because they need your support to get in a position. But you're not going. You're not going. How many of us? How many of us are going in outer space? How many? I can tell you, none. None. But yet they talking about like we all going out there to the city, going out there and just have a good time. And you're still living in a tin can, because at the end of the day, people, this planet Earth is our environment. It's our natural environment. Bottom line. Can they make an environment for human life to be sustainable? Sure. But it's not your environment. We as humans have developed around the environment here on planet Earth. Not Mars, not Venus, not Pluto, not Saturn. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on in outer space. You don't even know what living in outer space for 100 years will bring. 200 years. It's going to change you. It's going to change your whole body structure, because in an environment of weightlessness, you do not need muscles. And where everything floats, until they get an environment comparable to the one here on Earth, everything floats. You're reaching for stuff. So what does that tell you? What does common sense tell you living in an environment like that? You know what that tells you? You're going to have a skinny body. You're going to have long, lengthy arms, long fingers, and a big head, because that's the only thing you're using, basically. Okay. So now, what are the picture of the Martians? that we've always been shown. Big heads, skinny bodies, long arms, long fingers. That's the example, a manifestation of physical life being born in a weightless environment. Simple as that. Everything is based on this environment, based on what you know. And you got to open up. And this planet, what we're getting back from this planet is simply what we have given to it. This planet is rebelling. We don't know the real shape that planet Earth is in. It's bad. This one of the hottest summers on record. Winters is coming. It's not getting any better. It's getting worse. Big companies and corporations, they didn't care. All they care about was money. Pollute the earth, pollute the water, pollute the air. I don't care. Just give us that money so we can have a party and own this. It's enough wealth. Nobody in the world should be starving. But nobody cares. Nobody cares. If they did, it would be fixed. And they need to stop lying. That's why when you come to election time, you look at the association of the people that's running. And from what I'm seeing, if the Republicans win this election, the House and the Senate, and whatever else they're running for, then people in America is done. America is done. There's always said, it's always been said that great countries always fall from within. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. Now when you got 3% of the people controlling all the wealth in the world, 95, 85% of all the wealth in the world, are you kidding me? Better get your head out the sand. What about your children, your grandchildren? I heard on the news that by 2055, by 2060, this planet may not be fit for human sustainability. Hear what I said? 2050, 2060. Let's just say that's 2060 to 38 years from now. 38 years from now. So if you're 20, is that 58? Not old. So the only people that's going to survive or be able to survive is those who have money and those who have prepared themselves to sustain themselves. And people with money are building things now, building all these buildings and things now where people can live. And you have to have a certain amount of money to get in them. So that's the new segregation. It has nothing to do with color. It has to do with money. You understand? I'm not sitting here trying to start. I'm just simply sticking my neck out, telling you these things. You need to do something about it. And you need to just stop talking and talking and talking and talking and doing something. I hear in the news all these millions and millions of dollars being donated. To help the homeless, to help the low income, to help middle class 1 and 2. And put it to use, to good use. But we don't even know the portion of what's going where and what's going here, what's doing this, doing that. But we can't just rely on people to help you. You've got to help yourself. You have money because the money that the rich get comes from you. Doesn't take a lot. If you have a million people giving $5, It's $5 million. See, we might look at, oh, it ain't nothing. It's $5. No. Those shopping bags, those plastic bags that you go into a store and they'll charge you 25 cents for a bag. 1 million bags is $250,000. 1 million of those bags that you pay 25 cents for in the store that you think is nothing. If a person sell you 1 million of those bags at 25 cents, they have earned $250,000. You're being misdirected. These people at the polls, you got to see, when you see a guy say you don't know a thing about him, well, who is he with? Who is supporting him? What's he talking about? That's enough right there. I don't see how any Republican could win any office based on their track record. I really don't. With the exception of a couple. You know, I hear about Liz Cheney in the news a lot. She was a strong Trump supporter, but when it came to a point where, you know, that she saw that what was going on was against what she believed, was against justice, against truth, against her integrity, she put the brakes on. She said, oh, no, 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 I can't go down that road. I don't care how many Republicans go down that road, sell their soul. She said, I'm not doing that. And she didn't. That's why, and it cost her. If she had went down that road, she'd be like the other Republicans. She still probably would have won her election, and she would still be in office. But she refused to sell her soul and go down that path where she knew was the wrong one to go down. And I respect her for that. Whether you Republican or Democrat or liberal or whatever, when you put your I say your life, your job, your career on the line, and you stand up for truth, and you know that it's right, even though you know 90% of your party is wrong, going down the wrong path, and you go against them, you got my vote. You have my vote. And I've been voting Democrat. And it all boils down to where this person stands. You know, there's a lot of Democrats. I don't know how they feel, but when they come up to the election, they'll vote simply because they know the majority is Democrat. So if they say, "Hey, I'm a Democrat," that'll get them in. See, so there's a lot of reasons why people do things, but I respect Liz Cheney for that, for not selling her soul now. And if people really understood, if people really understood the the universal laws of the land, and there are universal laws that governs everything, you know, you'd be more cautious of what you do and how you think. Because everything comes back. Not in this world, it's in the next. So I just came out today because I'm telling you, this November 8th election, if the Republicans win, America and the American people lose. And when you lose this one, forget about it. Nothing, forget about it. Your children, grandchildren, if you're not rich, you don't have a chance. That's the bottom line. And thank you all very, very, very much. Have a great day.